Carson, so good to see you in person, man. How are you?
I'm great, Jim. Thanks for having me.
It is great to have you. Before we get into the matchup, I had Lincoln Riley on the program yesterday. From where I'm sitting, this guy's absolutely killing it since he took over at USC. What do you make of the fit and the impact that he's already had there?
Just right time, right guy, right place. I mean, it was quiet on the Lincoln Riley front when everybody was talking about who was going to sit in that head coach's office at SC, and it came out of nowhere. There was no, well, they might make a run at Lincoln. You didn't hear any of it, and then all of a sudden he exploded on the scene. He got to work in the transfer portal. I don't think anybody was expecting SC to compete for a Pac-12 championship as soon as that season ended, and then Lincoln Riley came in. He started bringing in some recruits. He had a good recruiting class. Now they should be one of the favorites in the Pac-12. So I think the impact is phenomenal, and I think just the future of the school. It finally feels good. You live in the area. It finally feels like SC might be back. This might be the start of it all and this snowball effect. So I hope he's the right guy. It sure seems like he is at this moment.
Carson, I think the point you make is really interesting. Like, they were stealth. Like, that seemed like it came out of nowhere. They did a really good job of being stealth, flying under the radar, not having people know, and I think that's a big reason why they were able to get him. And, yeah, there's buzz. There's juice. All of a sudden, USC feels like USC again. Let me ask you this. Caleb Williams announced that he's going to transfer. What would you tell him about the pressure and the responsibility and even the opportunities that come with being quarterback at USC?
Everything's intensified. I know OU's a phenomenal program, great history, all of that. But you're now in Los Angeles, and it also says a lot about what he wants. I mean, a lot of people shy away from it. A lot of people go to a smaller school where they don't quite have the following, they don't quite have the LA media. He wanted it, it seems. He put himself in the transfer portal right away. There was a lot of talk he was going to reunite with his coach. He wanted to be in the bright stars of Los Angeles, and you got to want it. It is hard. It will beat you down. You walk into a presser after a game, and there's not 12 people in there, there's 60 people. You have to want that. You have to look forward to that. And he seems like he has that right kind of makeup to be able to handle it.
Carson Palmer is joining us. All right, shifting to the NFL. I got to know, what was going through you as you watched the Bengals beat Kansas City and clinch a spot in the Super Bowl?
I was surprised as anybody. I mean, you look at this roster back in September, you couldn't hand that sheet of paper that had all the roster on it to any NFL exec and get a response like, yeah, that team should probably end up in the Super Bowl. That team's probably going to win the AFC North. This is a surprise, as we've all been talking about all week, and as they continue to win, we're surprised. But there's just something magic about them. It might be all Joe Burrow, and the magic is rubbed off on his teammates around him, but there's just something magical. I mean, you think back to the AFC Championship game. Joe was sacked 9 times, and they won. And I don't know that anybody else can understand how important of a stat that is. It is demoralizing getting sacked. Getting on your back, getting picked up, it was 2nd and long. Now you're in 3rd and 18 and your offensive line's reaching down to help you up. It is so difficult mentally to overcome that. From the offensive line standpoint, every time they turn around, their quarterback's on his back. From the offensive standpoint, from the play caller standpoint, the defense is seeing it. And this team overcame that. That is a mental hurdle. That is a struggle. It's a challenge. And it takes a certain type of mentality to overcome that. And this team has that grit. They have that toughness. And they have that magic. And that's what it takes when they're playing the Rams, who are the superstar team. They've got Pro Bowlers and future Hall of Famers and top paid guys at a bunch of different positions. You need some magic to be able to beat that team. And this team seems like they have it.
Carson Palmer is joining us. I love that reaction. Like, it is demoralizing to get sacked. It's demoralizing to get the hell beat out of you. The Titans got him 9 times, and this guy, did he look sideways at anybody even once? Did he point the finger even once? If this guy keeps jumping up with a smile on his face and he's got that swag still and he knows he's going to make a play, how much better does that make everybody around him?
There's so much belief in him, and it's, I just walked past walked past Justin Herbert, and I'm looking up at Justin Herbert, and you see some of these guys that are playing nowadays, and Joe's not an overwhelming presence. He's not 6'6", 240. He's, 6'3.5", 220. He's not, a 4'2" guy. He finds a way to make plays. He finds a way to put balls in places and give guys chances with catch and run ability. And it's just, it's not he's not the guy that walks in the huddle and he looks like Cam Newton. You're like, I can go in a dark corner with that guy and we're going to come out alive. Like, there's just something special about Joe. He doesn't overpower the field with throws. He doesn't have a ton of velocity. He's accurate. He's calm, cool. He gets sacked 9 times, and you're right. He's not looking sideways at his teammates. He gets up, hey, we'll get him next down. We'll get him next possession. There's just a calming presence about him that's really rubbing off on his teammates.
Carson Palmer joining us. You know what it sounds like? It's almost sacrilegious, but maybe not, given how good this guy is and how quickly he's doing it. But when you say, if you look at him, there's nothing like physically superimposing about him. You don't look at him walk in a room and say, damn, look at this guy. It sounds like Joe Montana. Now, I know it's crazy to be comparing Joe Burrow to Tom Brady or Joe Montana, but didn't everybody say the same thing about Montana? You look at this guy, he doesn't look like he's that distinguishable from anybody else. He's just the best.
And then you get on the field, and I've been on the field and seen Joe throw live. It's not an overwhelming performance when he's throwing routes on air. You can go out and watch. You go out and watch Herbert. You go out and watch Patrick Mahomes, and there's velocity on the ball.
They're freak shows.
The ball spins different. It sounds different cutting through the air. There's just a natural whip that you see the ball jumping off their hands. With Joe, there's nothing physically that jumps out at you. But Joe Montana, you could say the same thing. Tom Brady, you can say the same thing. And I'm not saying that we should be saying he's the next. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there is a characteristic that certain guys have. Those 2 guys happen to have the most Super Bowl rings. Joe's in year 2. He's got a chance to have one in year 2. He's got a chance to start off, hopefully, a legacy of Super Bowls in year 2, a lot like those 2 guys did early on in their career. So that's a lot of pressure. I'm not saying he is the next anything. I'm just saying the guy has a certain level of confidence. There's some characteristics about him that would surprise you that he's here in the Super Bowl with this team.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm not trying to put that on the kid, but he wouldn't care anyway. Like, that's not a guy who's going to get beaten down by the expectations. He's like, put it all on my shoulders. I want to be that guy. In fact, I'm already that guy. I'm amazed. You and I could talk for hours about him. Carson, what do you make of what happened to Arizona? Like, are you at all surprised by how they played down the stretch? I understand that they're a different team without DeAndre Hopkins, but did you expect them to be that different?
No, I think we were as soon as DeAndre went down, I got concerned because that was absolutely the head coach and the quarterback's safety net. As soon as things got awry and Kyler had to get outside the pocket, he would just look for number 10 and throw it up to him. As soon as you're a young quarterback and you're a play caller and you lose that guy, when you're calling plays and the number 1 guy on your sheet, you got to take those plays out. And when you're the quarterback and the play comes into your headset and on 3rd and long, you're normally throwing to this guy on this side of the field and you don't have him, there's a confidence you lose. And you saw it, unfortunately. You saw the confidence level of Kyler Murray drop. And it dropped drastically. His body language changed. It was a bad look for him. It was a bad look for his teammates. Even the guys on defense were like, oh, you could just got, his shoulders, slouched a little bit. You saw that energy drop. And it went through the team. It reverberated through the team. Unfortunately, teams look at their quarterback. They look at the way he plays. They look at the way he handles himself. The Bengals are looking at the way Joe Burrow's getting up off the ground in the AFC Championship and bouncing up off the ground, not sluggishly getting up off the ground. That reverberated through the entire team, and it just consistently showed up. As soon as DeAndre went down, their play dropped off offensively and defensively. I think it's extremely concerning.
So what about the fact that he scrubbed his social media? There's something going on. Like, when I first saw that, I'm like, I don't like the way that looks. And by the way, I love the guy. I think he's such a unique player and athlete. But when I saw that, my first thought is, that doesn't look right. I hope that's a really over-the-top, lame marketing ploy. But I know that's not what that is. If you had to read the tea leaves, what do you think that is?
I think it's a contract play. He's available right now to sign an extension. He had all the leverage on his side of the table before that first round in the playoffs. Before they went to SoFi and played against the Rams, Kyler had all the leverage in the world. His performance now, he lost some leverage as a player. When you lose leverage, it's hard to get back. When you got it, you got to strike while the iron's hot. And it was on his side. He went out. He did not play well. They did not play well against the Rams in that playoff game. And they have to pay him. Unfortunately, it's the same thing that's going on in Cleveland. They got to pay Baker. They can't start over. They took both those guys number 1. They've hung with them. They've built around them. he lost a lot of leverage. Baker lost a lot of leverage, and if they do re-sign him, they're going to have lost some money on those next contracts.
Where do you come out on Baker at this point? Like, Baker bet on himself, and I give the guy a lot of credit. He took a lot of heat, and I'm not saying that he is the perfect quarterback. I am saying that he played through some pain, to be sure. Where do you come out? Like, where is his ceiling? What's his upside, do you think, if everything's right?
I think we've seen it. It's a great comparison is look at Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen. Josh Allen, we have not realized or seen his ceiling. He's got a ton of room to grow, a ton of room to improve. Baker, you're kind of getting close to the ceiling. He's decently accurate. He doesn't have an overpowering arm. He's not real athletic and take over a game with his legs. You've seen what he's capable of. Josh, I think we're just scratching the surface. If Josh can figure out how to take his game from inside the pocket to the next level, because we've seen him take his game to the next level outside the pocket. Once he continues to get more reps and have more games and have more snaps on 3rd and long and behind 2-minute drills, all those situational football instances that come up, the more he has of those under his belt, his ceiling is going to continue to rise. But I think we've seen basically where the ceiling is for Baker.
So can they do better? Should they try and do better?
I think the Browns have to re-sign Baker. I don't think you can go back to the drawing board and hope you have another top pick. This is a really down year as quarterbacks are coming out as far as the college quarterbacks this year. There's not probably anybody in the draft that's going to beat him out. So they're in a situation where they've got to pay him. Fortunately for the Browns, and unfortunately for Baker, they don't have to pay him that top 5 money. They can get a contract done somewhere mid-level, mid-range starter money, and that's unfortunate for Baker because he had momentum and leverage on his side as his career took off.
Yeah, man, you make such a good point. Leverage is everything in every business, and when you have it, you got a hammer, you better swing it, because when you don't have it, it's tough to do business in any sense. Looking back, knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently?
No. I mean, looking back, I played for 15 years. I played with some unbelievable guys. I played for some great coaches. I took my stance in Cincinnati with the Bengals and the organization and had my frustrations with them. I wouldn't change what I did. I wouldn't change how I got here, and I'm just happy to see. I just want the Bengals to win. I think that city will go bananas. That city deserves it. That fan base has been loyal. The state of Ohio's fan base has been loyal through some really bad football. So it's great to see Southeastern Ohio get this credit, be on this stage, be in this city, and have a chance to win a Lombardi Trophy.
I mean, you're in such an interesting spot because you played your college ball here. You were an absolute star here. You played your NFL ball there to a large extent. I know what you're saying. That's a great fan base. That's an amazing fan base. I know you want them to win. Do you think they're going to win?
I don't know. I mean, when you look at these rosters and look at the top paid players, I mean, that roster in LA is built on pressuring the quarterback. You got the highest paid defensive tackle. You got Von Miller, a former Super Bowl MVP. You got speed at the linebacker side. You got the best corner and the highest paid corner in the game. And the Achilles heel of the Bengals has been their offensive line from day one. So I just don't see them being able to hold up long enough for them to get the ball down the field to Jamar Chase and get the ball down the field to T. Higgins. That pass rush, I saw it when I was in Arizona in that division in the NFC West, and I saw Aaron Donald twice a year. And I'll never forget coming back to the huddle his first couple years in the game, and I'm getting ready to call a play, and the offensive line saying, we can't even see him, let alone block him. He is so quick. He is so powerful. His first step is unbelievable, and I just don't know if they have the strength and the power up front to slow him down.
Dude, honestly, Carson, I know you've got the life that you set up that you want. It is always so good to talk ball with you. I mean, sincerely, you are one of my favorite guys to talk ball with. I appreciate that.